Yo, I had something I wanted to talk about this morning and get back to the main topic of the whole point of the channel and how I'm going to navigate through everything. But I'm going to be very transparent and let y'all know everything that's going on. So, back when I lost my job, I had my two dogs. It was Zeus and was Paulo. Um, and unfortunately, one day I was driving and Zeus had fell out the window of my truck. It was a real tight space. I couldn't even, like, I could barely pull over. Me pulling over was just a risk within itself. So I was already in a state of mind that I was going to lose my job. I already knew that was coming. And then um, I hopped out the truck and I went to go get him and I carried him back. And I was hoping and I was praying to God that he was okay, but overnight, like his leg got swelled. I'm gonna show a picture just so y'all can visualize it as I'm visualizing it. His leg was swelled, and I'm in another state. I don't have no car. I don't have no source of transportation. Like, I'm a truck driver, and his leg got swelled, and I'm just like trying to figure out what could be wrong. And I wound up having somebody um drive me to a whole bunch of different hospitals, and they said they gave me an X-ray and said, yeah, his leg is broken. I didn't know what to think. I knew that that was going to be expensive. I didn't know how expensive it was going to be, but I knew it was going to be expensive. So they do the X-ray. They tell me his leg is broken. The only options are to get his leg. At first, I didn't know these options. At first, they told me you either fix his leg or put him down, because currently his leg is broken, and the broken bones is creating a whole bunch of blood, is ripping the insides, and I couldn't fathom the type of pain he was going through, and that feels like my kid. Like I had him, only had him for a couple of months because I found him in another state, but it felt like my kid. And so I wound up going back to my terminal, and then I had to go in the office to, have a talk with them, and they wound up telling me I'm fired. Now I have to figure out, now I think it's a Friday. Now I have to start figuring these things out. And I'm pretty quick on my feet and I can think fast. So I have uh, a certain amount of money saved up. I believe it was like 2 or 3 thousand, nothing crazy. So then I'm thinking, how can I get these dogs back to my hometown? I didn't have a place to stay, but how can I get them back to hometown where family is at, where all my resources are? So then I went and looked up plane tickets, and plane tickets were extremely expensive, especially if you're doing it that day or the day of. So then I had to go around the state in Michigan looking for car rentals. And they needed you to be a resident of their state to get a car rental. So I'm really like thinking. And so I just say, you know what? I'm going to take the $600 hit. I'm going to go back to my state and I'm going to get a car rental and then come back. So I left both of them in the truck, and my job told me, you're a good employee. We'll let you stay till Sunday night. That's when you got to be out of the truck. That's all the time I need. That I don't need any crazy amount of time. So I came back to my hometown. I applied for a credit card and I applied for a loan. I got a $5,000 credit card with my bank. And I got a $2,000 loan, and I went to go get a car rental. I drove all the way back to Michigan from Philadelphia. And then after I drove from Philadelphia to Michigan, then I picked both of them up, put them in the car, found a hotel that allowed dogs to stay there, and was calling around a whole bunch of vet hospitals that would take him in immediately and do all of that. I didn't know what the prices would be. So I was more so like, if I have to spend all the money on this credit card and all the money through the loan, I will. But because I build relationship credit and because I'm so good with everybody around me, I called up my closest man's. At first, I didn't have the credit card or the loan. I was more so panicking when I was in the vet office. So I called him up. It had to be like 1 a.m. And I said, yo, I need the biggest favor from you. I said, I don't ask for big favors, but this is the biggest. Say, yo, Zeus fell out the truck, broke his leg. He's in a lot of pain. I need you to co-sign and I need you to apply for this care credit so I can get his leg fixed, or just so this money can be contributed to whatever it was. So fast forward, I get to Michigan, I got the care credit set up, I found somebody, and we shoot right over there the next morning. They doing work on his leg. It's Saturday. They doing. I shoot over there. They telling me whatever everything they going to do, and they tell me a price. The price was 6,000. It's not. I didn't care about the number. The number didn't scare me. It was like, damn. How am I gonna use this? How am I? Cause already the car rental from Philly to Pete from Philly to New Boston, Michigan was pretty crazy. So I had to figure out, how am I going to make this work? I asked for any alternatives. The maximum price was 6,300. So I'm looking at a number that's 6,000, and all that's in my mind is I don't have a job. It's easy for me to get a job, but the situation that I'm in, it's going to be difficult. So I said, are there any alternatives? They said they can cut his leg off and he just won't have a leg. But it was 6,300 or 500. And then if they cut his leg off, it would have been 5,700 or something like that. Only like 500 or 600 off. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I wouldn't want him to limit the rest of his life because of my decisions. I should have been watching him more closely. I should have had the seat lowered instead of it all the way up for him to be able to fall out. And so I said, you know what? We're just gonna take the hit. We're gonna do the $6,000. And they took him in, and then Sunday came. All of that happened. They're good now. I'll probably put a picture up of it after. And so I come back here. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I have 2 dogs, no car, no house, no job, and I'm about 6K in debt. And something is on my man's report. I'm not somebody that'll just say "F you," go take care of it, because I really value the relationships around me and the things that people will do. So I have to go figure out, how am I gonna make this work. So I found somebody. I wound up finding somebody that I could work for, but I needed to get my own apartment and it wasn't happening fast enough. The person that I'm staying with now is my uncle. He is somebody that I owe so much to. And Paulo is a very high energy dog. So whenever I wasn't here, he would be I had to put him in a cage inside of another cage. And I know it's wrong, but I was so desperate. I could leave Zeus on a leash, like in the porch area, but Paulo had to be inside a cage, of another cage, because if you don't give Paulo's breed a task, he'll find one and he'll start messing up stuff. There was about 4 or 5, 6 times where my uncle came home and a piece of his couch was ripped, or it looked like it was chewed, or his daughter's coat was ripped up, or a whole bunch of the trash from the kitchen was torn out because he escaped 2 cages. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. And so I had to, he told me, you can stay here, but you have to make a decision. And he said, the dogs can't stay. I have about $2,000 to my name. I said, I gotta find somewhere to stay. I said, I'll sleep in the car with my dogs if it comes down to it. Like, those my babies. I feel like those my kids. I gotta make a conscious decision. And so I had to let them go. And it hurts me. It hurts me to say that. It really does, because I thought it was gonna be us forever. So I wound up getting rid of the dogs, and then now I got the job. And so now that I got the job, I'm really slaving myself to be able to get some money. The job is just terrible. But my whole point with the job is to create some type of income, alleviate the pressure from my friend's credit, alleviate the pressure from my personal credit card, this loan, or even get me some type of source of transportation so I can create more income. Fast forward, I only worked for him about 2-3 months maybe, because I was getting paid $125 a day, and I would be there from 8 hours to 12 hours, and it sound cool, but I was a Class B truck driver, and I had to get forklifts, and I had to take loads off and do all of that, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So after I saved up enough money, my grandma pitched in to help me get a car. And I don't want you guys to think these relationships that I built, where I have uncles that will let me stay at their crib for free because they know what I'm going through, or people like my grandma who will help me buy a car, or people like my friend who will put something in his name so I can take care of my business, did not just come from because you're you. Nah, I had to build. I had to build to get here. I had to really put in work. So don't think that just was handed to me. I had to work. I had to do a whole bunch of favors after favors after favors just to be able to be like, can I get this? And not think twice like, nah, they're not gonna do it. Like, I know they will. I put in so many favors, and I didn't do it I because I knew this day was gonna come. Like, nah, I'm that type of person. Like, whatever you need, I got you. And they're also that type of people. My grandma, my uncle, and my mans. So anyway, she helped me get a car, and so then I quit. And I applied for Instacart because I can control my schedule more, and I can control whatever. So after that, after I quit, I'm doing Instacart. I realized it's not going to work out. I talked to my uncle. He said, I know what you're going through, but I'm going to need some type of rent at least. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. This is your house. What you need? He said, I only want $550 a month. Word, that's $137 a week. I, 500 for rent, $50 for utilities. I can do that. I can do that. Now I have a car. Now I have some type of money that I could be flowing in. But I have my Class A CDL unrestricted. I know how to drive with the manual. But it's difficult looking for a job because I was pulled over in Michigan, and the cop told me he saw me on my phone. Every time I think about it, it's hard to imagine a truck going 60 to 65 miles an hour right by you, and you see them swiping. I believe that's hard. that's hard to even see, especially because the trucks are so high up and he was in a patrol car. I don't know. I wasn't on my phone. If you know truck driving jobs, they a lot of them have ELD now. So the brightness was high, and it had to be like towards 8 p.m. or just before it started to get dark outside, or it was a slightly dark outside. And so it'll be easy to see the brightness in people's cars or even a semi truck. And I turned it down. I don't know if he was able to see that, or if he was referring to the ELD. He pulled me over. I'm not somebody that's gonna argue with a cop. I do not argue with I do not argue with police officers. I'll see you in court. And I but when he pulled me over and he was accusing me of that, I didn't want to go back and forth with him. So because I didn't want to tell him I was on my phone and be like, no, whatever you saw is a lie, I didn't want to trigger any type of conflict. So I went along with it and I lied. And I said I was on my GPS on the phone, and he said something else after that, but he went back to his car. After he went back to his car, he came back and said, I'm not going to give you a ticket, but this just shows it's not even, he didn't even say it was a warning. He said it was something else, but it's not on my record. He gave me a paper because whenever you get pulled over with my job, I had to show him and I had to get a sign off in order to get another load. So after I got the ticket, you would just call it a ticket. After I got that, I showed my job, and actually I didn't show him because they said it wasn't on my record. So I'm like, damn, I know this goes against company policy. If I have to show them this, or if I have to do whatever, they're going to get rid of me. So let me prolong this as much as possible and stack up my bread. That week, I was grinding crazy. I was going from Michigan to Colorado, from Colorado to Georgia to I was really asking for loads after loads after loads, and which they are really not usually they're not usually doing. They don't usually just have loads in abundance like they did, but I did that. And so they fired me. And the reason why at the time when I got my car and I was struggling to look for jobs is because I was telling them my job got rid of me because of a safety violation. But my clearinghouse is okay. My safety report, my DAC report, everything's clean, like it's squeaky clean. But they're just like, if they go to reference that job and the job tells them that, they're not gonna take me. Cool. I wound up finding a really good job. I cannot express how much I love this new job. I am home every night and I make the same amount of money, if not hundreds more. Um, One of my checks was 1,300. I brought back 1,000, which to some people it don't seem a lot like a lot. But the only reason why it's a lot to me is because I know how to prioritize and pay and prioritize and invest my money into where it needs to go. The reason why $1,000 check may not seem like it's a lot to people is because they have bills. They like to spend money on expensive things. And I'm just not that person. I'm not really into shopping. I'm not into drinking, partying, all of that. I'm really just trying to take care of business and get rich by 30. So, anyways, they pay me amazing. But now I have a $2,000 loan on my head, a maxed out credit card at 5,000, and I have care credit with my friend to take care of. And I also have a tattoo removal that I that I have to a tattoo removal that I have to pay, which is about 2,000. Quick side note, do not get people's name tatted on you unless you are married to that person. Even after you're married, don't don't get a quote, get the same quote or something. Anyways, I digress. I have about, what's that, 5,000, 7,000, 9,000, and my bills. I know people gonna judge me, but back when I was on the road, I didn't have a house, so I had the only bill I had on the road was, other than food, was a $500 phone bill. Oh, it wasn't 500. I'm exaggerating it. It's about 300, and so now I got to pay off 9K in debt, $300 phone bill, $500 rent, um, miscellaneous things. I have credit builders, so everything comes up to around $1,000 in bills per month, including the things that I have to pay off. But having a high credit limit limits the amount of money that you can go seek, because I want to open a business and be a guarantor. But how can I be that if my credit card maxed out and it brought my score down by like 50 to 70 points? So now I'm at 650, and I gotta pay down. Now I gotta pay down all these. I gotta pay down everything just so I can get it off of my report, and I gotta pay off my care credit for my mans and make sure that's a priority. Really gotta make sure that's a priority. So fast forward to today, I've decided I'm going to start taking action, and I'm going to start planning. But I just needed to explain to you guys why I have a maxed out $5,000 credit card, why I took out a $2,000 loan, and also why I have to pay care credit on somebody else's credit report, and also why I'm here where I am. And what did I do when I first got home? I got a really shitty job, saved up some cheese, and I got a car with the help of a family member. And now it's time to really start aggressively paying off debt and start planning to invest. That's it.